We're in the Texas Panhandle, 3,700 feet above sea level, and it does snow here. Now today it's sunny, but we are expecting snow tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. There's good money and bad weather, but there's also bad driving in bad weather. You have to be careful when you're driving around in bad weather.
Why, that's it! Sure! Look! It's a big W, I tell you! It's a big W!
I'm a gig worker, and this is a work in progress. What we're doing here is trying to augment my retirement. I get Social Security, and I get a pension from my former employer. So what I seek to do is earn as much money as possible, doing the least amount of work. So how do I do that? Well, my latest adventure is to work 6 days a week and take 1 day off. I can't work 7 days a week anymore because my wife just won't let me do it. And not only will she not let me do it, it's nice to have a day off so I can do some stuff around the house, right? And there's the added problem that Amarillo is a small city and there's not always a lot of rides. Like right now I'm sitting at the Amarillo International Airport. There's one driver in front of me and we're the only two people in the parking lot and there are no rides. So we're sitting at an airport waiting for a ride, but there's no rides. So this is a problem. No rides means no money. The whole range of food delivery services is available here in Amarillo. So what I'm doing now is bringing the wife along in the evening, and we're doing Grubhub food delivery. You can see a video about Grubhub food delivery right here where I made $86 in 3 hours, and that's not uncommon to be able to make that kind of money. So what I'm doing now is I do passengers during the day and food delivery at night, and it seems to be working for me. Sometimes Uber and Lyft do promotions. You do a certain number of rides or do rides at a certain time of day, you get more money. And unfortunately, that doesn't always work. Here, sometimes there just are no rides available. Maybe there's too many drivers, maybe the market's oversaturated. But what I do know is that by combining all three of these services, which is what I'm doing, Uber, Lyft, and Grubhub, then I'm making reliably about $120 a day, 6 days a week. If I lived in a larger city, I would probably be making more money. But I live in this city, and this is a small city. I can't move away from the city, at least at this time. Maybe in the future, we'll move to the St. Louis area because that's where my wife is. And taken together with my fixed retirement income, the gig income I make is very helpful. If you take my retirement fixed income and you add that with income from Grubhub, Uber, and Lyft, then I make a pretty good living doing this. I'd like to hear from you. Do you mix and match? Let us know in the comment section down below. Do you do a little bit of Grubhub and a little bit of Uber and a little bit of Lyft, a little bit of DoorDash or whatever? One of my most popular videos, this video right here, describes how you do Uber and Lyft at the same time, which is what I do. In fact, right now, I'm doing Uber and Lyft at the same time, and I'm just waiting for a ride. I just did complete a Grubhub delivery. I wear this like this when I go do a Grubhub delivery. I made this myself, but what I did is I printed this out with my printer at home, and then I went to FedEx Kinko's and had it laminated. Put a little thing on it, and away I go. I used to do another one called Delivery.com, which was formerly known as Texas To Go. I have also done Postmates, I've done DoorDash, of course I do Uber Eats. I've done a lot of these things over time. You can make one of these things really easy. It's helpful if you don't actually want to wear gear for whatever service you're using. What I usually do these days is Grubhub and Uber Eats. So what I'm going to do is make a new one where it'll say Grubhub on this side and Uber Eats on the other side. And this is helpful, like if I'm standing in the back of a restaurant near the bar waiting for them to bring out some food that I'm supposed to deliver. If I have a little tag like this, it lets them know that, okay, he's an official from Grubhub or an official from Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever. Having some kind of identification. The bag also helps identify you. I do have a Grubhub bag. I also have a DoorDash bag. I don't have an Uber Eats bag. I have a black generic bag. And I use that bag when I pick up for Uber Eats. But having a little tag that says Uber Eats is one of the goals that I want to have. I used to have one. I don't know what happened to it. I lost it. And if I have one I can just flip over, that'll be easy because that's what I usually do in the evening, Grubhub and or Uber Eats. During the daytime, passengers. And yeah, passengers is not necessary to wear one of these, is it? Uber has really been trying to get me to drive at night. You get 3 points for picking up passengers in certain times of the day around here in the evening hours, late night. And I just don't want to do that. Be aware of the risks. If you're willing to take those risks, go for it. In the wintertime, it gets dark early, and so I do food deliveries and sometimes passengers after dark. But I usually don't work after 8 o'clock. But if you like to work the midnight hours, 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you will make extra points. You won't have as much competition from other drivers because there's not as many people driving around that time of day, and there's also not as many passengers. I think I'm wasting my time sitting here. There's not even a flight coming in for another hour, and there's people here waiting. That's ridiculous. I did do a video where I discuss about whether you should wait or not wait at the airport. You can see a link for that video right here, and it's useful looking at. It was one of my earlier videos also, and so I've gotten a little better at making videos. You might pick up some tips about whether you should wait for rides. Because waiting at the airport can be useful because sometimes the rides are longer. Well, I'm on the road here, and one of the things I want to say while I'm driving is that there are problems running both Uber and Lyft at the same time on the road, or even Uber, Lyft, and a food delivery service like DoorDash or Grubhub or whatever. And that is, if you're running them all at the same time and you get an order from one of the apps, then you have to go to the other apps and go offline. It's because otherwise you're going to have a problem. You're going to have conflicting orders from conflicting places, and you have to go to different places at the same time. It just doesn't work out. So you get an order from one, you got to go to the other apps and turn them off. Now what happens right now, I'm going down the highway at 65 miles an hour, but what happens if I get an order? That means I've got to get on my phone, I've got to accept the order, and then I have to go to the other apps and go offline, all while going at highway speed, surrounded by traffic. Is that dangerous? Yes, it's dangerous. Is that an opportunity for having an accident? Well, of course it's an opportunity for having an accident. So is that something you want to do? Well, if that's a risk you want to take, then be careful. This car does have smart cruise control, aka adaptive cruise control, and it has lane keep, which means if I'm going down the highway, I can take my hands off the wheel like this. So right now I'm going down the highway, and I don't have to touch the wheel, and the car is driving itself. In fact, I'm even slowing down because there's a car in front of me going slower than I am, and we just slowed way down. So those are safety features, but obviously not every car has got those things, and even so, when you're distracted from the road, then it is dangerous. They're not meant to then take a nap and lean back and don't watch the road, even though this car will stay on the highway while it's driving down the road. But those are nice features that this car just happens to have. Other cars also have them. It's not that uncommon these days to have assisted driving systems in place. And as you can see, this car also can fly. No kidding, this is a flying car, and I have flown it around downtown Amarillo. And it flies pretty good. And when it does fly, I can land on rooftop. No, seriously, the car doesn't really fly. You didn't believe that, did you? Look, Mom, no hands. But I still keeping an eye on the road. Going, highway speed, barreling down the highway, but I don't have to touch the wheel. And it's not even an electric car. I'm driving a Hyundai Santa Fe 2020. And even though the car does all those things, I don't trust it. Would you? I mean, I don't trust it. And that's a good thing. That means I'm a responsible driver. I keep my eyes on the road. An electric car does seem to make sense to me in that I'm spending $600 a month on fuel to keep this car on the road, and $22 a day on the average, 6 days a week. That's a lot to spend on fuel. So if I added that with what I'm already making in monthly payments for this car, that adds up to a substantial amount that I could be putting towards an electric vehicle and not spending so much on fuel. I know there is some additional expense with your electricity, but it won't be as much as spending gas. So I have a thought that in a few years I may be buying myself a nice electric vehicle. We'll see. Let me know in the comments down below what you do in order to make a living, and give us some feedback about whether you mix and match. Do you do just Uber? Do you just do Lyft? Do you do just Grubhub or DoorDash or some food delivery service? Or do you mix them together like I do and have multiple income sources?
It's a big W, I tell you! It's a big W!